All right. Welcome, everyone, to another week's. Actually, this is going to be a recurring segment for the live stream. So, usually every Monday, I do a insider reports breakdown. But since we have been doing kind of weekly webinars of live streams, just kind of live breakdowns of the entire market, and we have more time to answer questions. So, I thought I would start doing more regular live streams, just hopefully on a daily basis, right around this time, which is I think 8 p.m. UTC. So yeah, this is we are currently live on YouTube, Big and Dow YouTube, our Twitters, and also our Discord. So the main place we'll be grabbing questions from will be the Discord. But aside from that, yeah, let's get into it. We'll start off with Bitcoin analysis, Ethereum analysis, Bitcoin dominance, and then we'll give some of the latest news that's happening today and the current trends. And obviously for today, because the market is taking a short-term correction, I think there are tons of opportunities. So I'll go over some of those, my top picks that I'm currently picking up. Let me just move the mic so that doesn't have too much noise. Okay. Yeah, let me know how we sound, and if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat and I'll answer them at the very end. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let me share screen here. Bring up a tab. Okay, so checking in on Discord real quick to see. Sounds good? Okay, all good. So let's get into Bitcoin first. So as you must have heard from by now, Bitcoin has been taking a bit of a rough couple of days, right? So we got rejected at around 49K again. So we didn't manage to make a new high even on this recent rally, but my stance is still there's nothing to worry about just yet. So a couple of things that I'm watching very closely right now. First off, the 200 daily EMA, which is this indicator right here. I'll make sure that's wide enough so you can see. Right, so the 200 daily EMA currently sits at 41K, 41.8K. So you see, we still haven't touched this. And typically the 200 daily EMA acts as a very good support / resistance level that decides whether we are in a long-term downtrend or uptrend, right? So you see in the May crash, right, since we broke below this average level, right, it started to act as significant resistance here. And then in this recent uptrend, right, the first time that we broke above it, we retested it and we bounced from it. So here it acted as significant support. Now, again, we are revisiting this level. So now, still nothing to worry about just yet, as long as we stay above this. And similarly, right, on the weekly time scale, even longer term, the 21 weekly EMA also acts as, with the same kind of pattern, same kind of scenario that people use this level as. So the 21 weekly EMA currently sits at 43.4K, but because this is weekly, until the weekly closes, we won't have this dip down much. So because of this recent drop, the weekly EMA will probably do a little bit of a downward shift as well once the weekly candle closes. So it hasn't broken the 21 weekly EMA either, which those combined gives us still nothing to worry about just yet. That's based on the EMAs. And then on top of that, we have some very interesting horizontal levels, right? Specifically, this consolidation zone right here on this recent run up from 38K to 42K, that's a wide range, right? But that would pretty much encapsulate all of the EMAs that we have, the 200 daily EMA, the 21 weekly EMA, as well as if you extend it all the way to the left here, you see that it was the significant resistance here that were tested 4 times, right, on the May crash, right? So there were a lot of resistance tests here, and then on this recent run up, we broke above that resistance and we had a significant bounce from it. So now this overall zone from, I wouldn't go as far as 38K down, but I would say something like 40K is very significant support zone that we are still holding above. So nothing to worry about just yet, right? Obviously, people are way too zoomed in and they're looking at, the 4-hour and even hourly time frame. Yes, it doesn't look pretty right now for hourly and 4-hour, but make sure you zoom out, right? In the grand scheme of things, 21 weekly EMA, 200 daily EMA, as well as the horizontal support from 38 to 42K, still holding. We haven't even touched those levels yet. So nothing to worry about yet. I am treating this as still opportunities to buy the dip. When will this be invalidated is if we clearly break below this zone. And I would say if we get daily closes below the 200 daily EMA, and let's say at the average of this consolidation zone, so right around 40K, right? If we start to get daily closes below 40K, that's going to be quite iffy. At some point, you'll have to reconsider your position, right? The safest, right, obviously will be 38. If we even get any one-day close below 30K, below 38, that's way too big of a drop. At that point, you really still have to reconsider your position. But so far, nothing to worry about just yet, right? There are lots of support between 38 to 42K. So still treating this as dip buying opportunity. Yeah, so that's for Bitcoin. And aside from the support and resistance levels there, there's also a bit of interesting Elliott wave analysis that we can do here. So typically, markets, so according to Elliott waves, the major dominant trend that moves in 5 waves, while the corrective trend moves in 3 waves. So in this recent run up since 30K, we have had about a 5-wave move up, and right now is completing the 3-wave move down. So if I can bring up the multi-line tool here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would say 5 here. And then A, B, C, right? So I'll have to draw a lot here, but let me bring up Elliott wave theory. Just do a quick Google and bring it up on the side here. Delete that. So according to Elliott wave theory, here, yeah, this one's pretty good. Open image in new tab. According to Elliott wave theory, impulsive moves move in 5 waves, right? Currently, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the corrective ABC wave, specifically the C wave, is starting to look, this recent drop is looking very much like a corrective C wave. So whether this is just a short-term correction or a major downtrend is really dependent on if this is a C wave or the shorter 3-wave of a 5-wave down, right? So far, it's still looking like a correction. I would say as long as the previous higher low here at 38K, even just based on Elliott wave analysis, not drawing any patterns here, the uptrend, as long as the previous higher low of the uptrend holds on this correction, we are still good. So that also confirms with our analysis of the 200 daily EMA, the 21 weekly EMA, as well as the consolidation range here from 38 to 42. So the very, very bottom line is 38. But I would say even any closest around that range would be looking very iffy. However, that's still forward looking, right? Right now, we haven't even gone to those levels yet. So the most actionable analysis right now is that this is still a short-term buying opportunity, not a long-term downtrend. Yeah, so taking those analysis with us, let's carry it on to ETH and Bitcoin dominance and the overall altcoin market. So obviously, when Bitcoin takes a dump, across the market, including ETH, including any altcoin that you see out there, will be following suit. So what's ETH doing right now? ETH is also taking a dump, and in fact, it has dropped to a very, very appetizing level here, right? We have had this level drawn 29K for a while now. Why is that? It's because it's the top of this consolidation range, right? Here we had 3 tests of the 29K level, 2.9K level as resistance. And since the recent run up, right, it was acting as support. Now it's dropping back down to this level. So risk to reward here for an entry is quite good. So yeah, I would definitely treat this as a buying opportunity and not selling my ETH just yet. Yeah, I don't see why. Obviously, ETH can continue to drop if Bitcoin doesn't see any sort of consolidation or continues to drop. But the risk to reward at these lower levels, right, is honestly very good. Obviously, when it's easier said than done when the drop is starting to happen, right? People have been positioned very early on at these higher levels, and now their portfolio is down, and they're reconsidering. Oh my god, like I'm losing valuation in my portfolio as we speak. Like, what do I do? But you gotta just zoom out and look at the previous levels that we were watching and consider how much more downside is there, and really evaluate what the kind of best course of action right now is. And in my opinion, it's buying the dip. So that's that. It would be kind of foolish to set just strict stop losses on ETH price alone, because yes, the 2.9K level is a good level to start buying the dip. But can ETH continue to drop? Yes. What would be the stop loss for ETH in this case? It would be if Bitcoin confirms a clear downtrend, right? So the entire market depends on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin, let's say, even has any daily closes below 38K, I would say across the market, that's a negative signal. So that would be my stop loss for ETH. That would be my stop loss for major alts. But before that happens for Bitcoin, across the board, it's buying opportunities for me. Now, having said that, let's look at ETH BTC as well. yeah, still nothing to worry about just yet. ETH BTC is still above the previous higher low, right? We've had these two bull flags drawn from the previous week. So again, just in any uptrend, what defines an uptrend? It's a series of higher highs and higher lows. And specifically, the higher lows give you good. Sorry, let me just put on headphones so that you don't hear the joining noises. And let me make sure my mic is still good here. Good. Specifically, in an uptrend, the higher lows are what you need to keep an eye out for your stop losses. So if the uptrend is invalidated, it's if when the higher lows are broken. So dating back to, just look at historically, right? This here, since March of 2021 to May of 2021 on ETH BTC, this was an uptrend, right? What were the higher lows here? So higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, high low, high low, high low, high low, right? And when was this broken? Was when here we had a low that was below the previous higher low. And then you see we went into a sideways corrective period. So looking at ETH BTC right now, we are still holding above the previous higher low here at 0.065, right? So still nothing to worry about. In the grand scheme of things, comparing ETH valuation against Bitcoin, ETH is still outpacing Bitcoin in the longer term. So taking this into account and the fact that Bitcoin haven't really broken down in a long-term downtrend just yet, the position in ETH is still holding strong. I don't know why that just switched randomly. Yeah, so nothing to worry about just yet. Assuming Bitcoin holds above 38K as the absolute bottom line, ETH would be a buying opportunity right now. Okay, next up, moving to Bitcoin dominance. Just like I think I posted a TikTok video yesterday about this reversal here on Bitcoin dominance. So in the short term, Bitcoin dominance does look like it's likely to revisit the 45% level, right? Just mapping this hold zone out. So in the very short term, let's say 2 to 3 weeks, or I would say maximum 2 weeks, we could see an even further money flowing from altcoins back into Bitcoin and even into fiat for fleeing into safety as the market is starting to look shaky again. However, is this a long-term Bitcoin dominance reversal? Not really, not yet at least, because zooming out to the very long term, we have had a very convincing downtrend on Bitcoin dominance since the beginning of the year, right? Since right here, December 2020, first week of 2021, right? Major downtrend in Bitcoin dominance. And then a bit of what you would call a continuation pattern. If you revert this, this will be a bull flag, but in this case, this is a bear flag, meaning the breakdown to follow is likely towards the downside. And we saw the breakdown towards the downside here. So the long-term trend for Bitcoin dominance is still down. And that would only be reverted if I'd say we get a close above 45% and start to make a higher low there. This would give us a reversal signal on Bitcoin dominance as we've had the first low at 40% and then the second double bottom here at 40%, right? But until that happens, this is still in a downtrend. So with that assumption, with that long-term view in mind, when we look at Bitcoin dominance in the short term, let's say the daily and even 4-hour time frame, yes, we are seeing a short-term uptrend towards, let's say, the next resistance zone from 44 to 45% level. But is this a major signal to start, exiting altcoins across the board? No, not at all. I think this is quite the contrary. Another opportunity to buy the dips, to be positioned in your favorite altcoins for the larger alt season that will continue. That is still more likely to continue after this corrective period finishes. So that's my view on it. Again, what's the stop loss here? Just for any trade, there has to be a stop loss in case your analysis is wrong, is if Bitcoin dominance clearly closes above 45% and makes a higher low here. At which point, right around here, I would say, okay, Bitcoin dominance looks like it's having a major reversal. But again, we are not at that point yet. And because we are not there yet, this is still a buying opportunity. Okay, so that's Bitcoin dominance. And just a quick refresher, right? Bitcoin dominance is the major kind of TA pattern to watch in order to spot when the market is in an alt season, in which case altcoins are outpacing Bitcoin and you want to be positioned in altcoins, versus when money is flowing back into safety, in which case you want to exit altcoins. And yeah, long term, we are still in a major long-term alt season. Short term, yes, there's a bit of corrective period for altcoins, but assuming the long-term alt season is still on, this is the time to buy the dip. Okay, so with that assumption in mind, let's look at some major altcoin plays that we have covered, for the past couple of weeks. Namely the major EVM layer ones that have liquidity mining incentives in place right now that is driving their ecosystem forward and have broken above new all-time highs. So those are the plays that we should be watching. Okay, let me also switch this to altcoin gems, right? Let's say this is altcoin plays. Right. Let's look at CoinMarketCap because CoinGecko is just frankly way too laggy. So let's use CoinMarketCap instead. So the first one is I would just going from top to bottom on the market cap list, because the higher the market cap, the smaller the risk, right? Because the less it fluctuates. So I would say the biggest outliers would be probably Cardano and Solana. Let's see, ADA USD. Yeah, I wouldn't say ADA is a buy at these levels just yet. Okay, two levels I can see right here. On the very, very large time frame, right? So I think Bittrex has the longest chart here. Yes, it does. So as we broke the previous all-time high, right around here, right at $1, this level acted as significant support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then we had a rally. So obviously the $1 level is a very significant level, but we are still very far from that. And then zooming in a little bit, we have right here, this is not even that alone, but this consolidation zone here from $1.90 to around $2.20, which dates back to the all-time high here. So in this recent rally, right, referring back to the pattern that defines an uptrend, higher lows and higher highs, right? So in this recent rally from July 20th of this year, from $1 all the way up to almost $3, we have had a higher low here printed, right, at $1.92. So in the very short term, in order for the short-term uptrend to continue, we need to hold above $1.90, which was the previous higher low here. So if you want to make a very aggressive entry, yeah, $1.90 is already a very decent level. And you can set a stop loss kind of right below that, because in order for this recent uptrend to continue, right, short-term uptrend to continue, $1.90 it needs to hold. But looking at a bit medium term, we have quite a few levels down here from right here at $1.50, which was 1, 2, 3 tests as resistance here, kind of 3 tests as support here, 1 test as resistance here. So this is, I would say, the next target to watch. If $1.90 breaks, then we're looking at $1.50. Again, assuming that the long-term alt season continues and Bitcoin has not started a major downtrend, most top altcoins, right? Your ADA, your Polkadot, your Chainlink, Ethereum, whatever you have, right? The AVAX, Solana, Phantom, Luna, all these top altcoins should see a major bounce back soon, assuming Bitcoin doesn't break into a major downtrend, right? So that's why setting tight stop loss levels on individual coins like ADA isn't too smart. Instead, your stop loss should be based on monitoring Bitcoin. If Bitcoin breaks 38K, it doesn't matter if ADA is still high or low at around $1.50. Doesn't matter. It's likely to continue much further. Just because if Bitcoin sees a major breakdown, its high amounts of liquidity will drag the entire market down. However, because Bitcoin has not done that and is, according to our analysis, not likely to do that just yet, I would say anything around the $1.90 range for ADA is starting to be a very attractive opportunity to buy the dip, right? Obviously, if we break down below $1.90, $1.50 is the next target. So you can do a bit of a short-term flip there and say, okay, I can set a stop loss right below $1.90 and I'll buy $1.50. But that's already very short-term and quite a bit, the potential reward there is not that high. So might as well just start accumulating at around $1.90 and continue to accumulate if it continues to $1.50. So that's ADA, right? Levels to watch, $1.50, $1.90. I would say it's already starting to look very appetizing for buying the dips here. Okay, moving down the market cap list, right? Wow, AVAX is number 13. That's crazy. Solana is number 7, right? So Solana is another outlier that people have been following and have done significant well over the past, let's say, 1 month. So this chart is very interesting. So there has not been any price levels for Solana above the $56 level, right? Ever since we broke this all-time high, it has just completely taken off and rallied into price discovery, right? So in this type of patterns, the levels are much clearer. What are the levels here? Going back to the what are the levels in an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows? Where can we find the consolidation levels here? Right? So one higher low here, one higher low here. And mapping those out, that is right around $130 to 150, and then down here from 78 to 70, right? So these are the two horizontal support levels to watch. How do you use those specifically? So the first level here at between 150 to 135, this tells us that if this level breaks in the short term, we would be seeing at least a medium-term correction. So that should fit into your strategy of, okay, are you a short-term trader? If you are a short-term trader, you can already start to enter here and set a very tight stop loss, right? Let's say right below 125. And then if that breaks, you can start to target these lower levels, right? The next consolidation range right here. On the 4 hour between 108 to 125, right? So that gives you not a great, even a short-term trade is not great because just below your stop loss, you have your next level. So there is not much of a setup there. And then moving on to the next level, let's say if Solana breaks below 108, then you can set a stop loss at 105, right? So let's say you start to pick up between 108 and 125, set a stop loss at 105, in which case, if this breaks, you're looking at revisits around the $80 range, right? Again, none of these are predictions, right? They are levels to watch one by one. If one level breaks, you're looking at the next level likely to be tested. Then you can form your trade setups based on how big those profit margins are. So yeah, if you are a short-term trader, I would say not much of a trade to be taken right now. If we get to, let's say, 115, you could already take a long with a stop loss at 105 and a target at the previous all-time high around 200, right? But again, that's short-term. Long-term, right? Looking at, referring back to our analysis again of Bitcoin still being in just a short-term correction and long-term alt season is still in play, all major altcoins are buying the dip opportunities. For Solana's sake, because the recent rally has been so strong, right? The dip buying has a significant risks involved, right? Because we simply don't have any significant support levels in a long time frame that we can rely on. So let's say you are starting to enter between 135 to 150. Yes, if Bitcoin just starting to bounce back. Solana should bounce back even stronger, just because like the recent rally has been so strong. But if Bitcoin doesn't, and it continues to, let's say, even consolidate sideways in a iffy period, then the next long-term level that you can watch for is around $70 to $80, right? So that gives you a potential downside of like 46%, which, yeah, you can, that's not to take away anything from Solana's stake, but you have to look at, okay, what's the potential risk to reward, right? So assuming that you have a 45% downside, how much more upside can you have, right? In order for a 2-to-1 kind of risk reward to risk ratio, you need to be looking at, let's say, $270 as at least a double from here. And for that kind of trade to play out, there are better trade setups in other top altcoins that are just as fundamentally strong, but haven't had such a significant run-up yet. And those will give you better risk to reward ratios. So that's why, yes, if the overall market bounces back, Solana is a good pick and will likely start to outperform. But the downside, just because of this recent rally, is a bit high. So that's why I'm not taking any Solana positions right now. Again, if you are a pure Solana fan and you believe strongly in its fundamental technology, nothing wrong against that, right? And the overall altcoin market is still looking quite good. So not a bad pick overall. But if you are purely looking at risk to reward technical levels, Solana isn't as appealing as some of the other layer one chains that we can review. So that's Solana. And then let's move on to down the list, right? Now we have a couple other contenders, right? AVAX, Luna, Algorand is even up here. So let's look at those. So I think a really good comparison side by side here would be Solana versus AVAX. AVAX USDT. Yeah, so looking at AVAX daily, the previous all-time high for AVAX was around $55. And you see we have had quite a few, I think 2 to 3 weeks of consolidation right in this zone, right here. Let me take away this. Right around the previous all-time high here, before we started to make price discovery. Mapping that to Solana's chart, right? Solana's previous all-time high was around $55, and it has since rallied much higher than the all-time high. Versus AVAX, yes, it has broken its all-time high, but it's just starting to make the exponential rally above the all-time high. So when you compare side by side like this, you start to see what I mean by risk to reward, right? Which is, what's the potential downside for AVAX versus what's the potential downside for Solana right here? So if you are to enter Solana right here, your stop loss, again, is looking at like 45% towards max support. Versus if you just enter right here at retest of the previous all-time high for AVAX, right around $60, there's already a ton of support in this range, because we are already looking at this previous all-time high consolidation here between $40 to $55. So the chance of this even breaking down is quite low. It's much lower than the chance of the Solana chart breaking down, because we have had such a much longer consolidation range here. And this is also the previous all-time high. So I would say the yeah, like it's not even fair to compare the two like this. So let's look at it this way, right? So the first time that a major coin breaks above the previous all-time high, it forms a very significant support level that should be held and presents a good buying opportunity once tested. On Solana's case, right, that level is about 65% down towards the $50 to $55 range. On AVAX's case, we are still sitting at this level, which means you are looking at, honestly, I would say less than 20% of the same level of risk versus on Solana's case, it's more like 60% of risk of a drop to the previous all-time high. So yeah, it really is quite not fair. There are tons of opportunities like this. I think Solana is a bad example in this case because it's the outlier that has rallied so much higher. But purely just bad example as what you don't want to be hunting. Instead, the first breakout of the previous all-time high is usually the best time to enter. So looking at AVAX, and let's bring up a couple good examples here. I would say Luna is another good example. Yes, Luna is a good example here. So we have had this level drawn, and I believe I made a TikTok video when it broke the previous all-time high here the first time. I'd said any revisits to the all-time high from let's say $18 to $20 is a good level to buy at. So yeah, for Luna's sake, right? Higher lows here. About 3 tests right there. So entering right here at the 4th test of the support would give you a potential stop loss at 40% below, right? In comparison to Solana's, which is like 60% below, right? So that's already a better pick than Solana if you're buying a dip, right? Luna versus Solana. And then bringing back AVAX. AVAX is still sitting very close to the previous all-time high. In fact, it already tested that level at 55. So yeah, I wouldn't even, if you are, what you're following is the grand scheme of layer 1 trend of different kinds of EVM layer 1s bringing out liquidity mining incentives to incentivize your ecosystem growth, such as AVAX, Luna, Algorand, Harmony, Phantom, right? These layer 1 coins overall fit into the same narrative, right? So if this is a narrative that you like and you want to bet on, what are the best place right now looking at their charts? Solana definitely has rallied way too high already. Luna, looking very decent, although it is already above its previous all-time high. So you are looking at a potential, let's say, 40% downside for stop loss versus falling Solana's like 4x growth above the previous all-time high, right? What's the same level of expectation here from $22, that's looking at $88, right? So from the current level, so you're looking at if Luna is to follow Solana's kind of footprint, then a 240% gain with a 40% stop loss. So that is a trade of 6-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So that's really good, right? So Luna definitely a good pick for buying the dip right now. Now let's apply the same analysis to AVAX, right? What is AVAX giving us? The previous all-time high here is at 55. So 4x of that is 220. So drawing that out as a long position, right, at the previous all-time high retest, extending target to 4x and stop loss below the previous higher low. Yeah, so this is even better. So you're looking at a 41% potential loss or stop loss and potential gain as 300%. So that's a 7.5-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So when you put those in numbers terms, you start to see that AVAX is even a better trade than Luna, just based on potential reward versus potential risk, right? Now we can look at other layer ones in the same category to figure out if there are any other trades that are even better bets, right? So, okay, moving on. The next one down the market cap list is Algorand. I'm not sure about Algorand, actually. This is the first time that I have looked at his chart. Also, oh, okay, Algorand is looking pretty decent as well. So I'll go all-time high right around $1.60, right? And previous higher low right around there. And in fact, there's quite a bit of horizontal level there, right? Bunch of tests here, one test here. So I'd say $1.17. So applying the same analysis, right? If it were to follow Solana's type of growth. So breakout above the previous all-time high and a 4x gain from $1.70 all the way up. Wow, that's that's amazing. To let's say $6.70. What's the potential stop loss here? At around 35, 36%, right? So this is the first time that I looked at this as well. So actually, Algorand is even a better trade than AVAX right now for buying the dip. Because putting those into numbers sake, that's an 8.3-to-1 reward to risk ratio for this trade setup, right? Once you have a take profit target, a stop loss target, and yeah, so right off the bat, Algorand and AVAX better placed than Luna. Luna itself is a better play than Solana for the levels that we have mapped. Then moving down the list, I think Cosmos also saw a breakout above the previous all-time high. So let's look at Atom USDT. Yeah, so Cosmos right off the bat is a little bit less attractive. Yeah. So taking out previous patterns. So previous all-time high was around 29, let's say $30. Just get a whole level. And the target from 30 will be 120. Right. Stop loss here, although, would be a bit steeper, right? Probably around a 45% stop loss. because this level is key to watch, right? So in this uptrend, right, we have had, what are the higher lows here? One higher low here, one higher low here. So this higher low here is very significant and very key to hold in order for this short-term uptrend to hold, right? So that is the first kind of sign of confluence for this level that we picked out for stop loss. Also here, it was used twice as resistance. As you see, these two peaks tested as resistance. So that gives a significant level, as well as 1, 2, 3 tests as support back in February of 2021, March of 2021, and April of 2021. So these 5 tests, as well as the recent 2 tests of this level, make this level a very significant level to watch. And since we are now above it and in an uptrend, this is a significant support level to hold. So that's why we can set a stop loss below it. And assuming that we take an entry from the all-time high, that gives us a 6.7 to 1 reward to risk ratio. And even though, and taking that a step further, we aren't even at the previous all-time high yet. So that's why if we enter right now, that cuts back our risk to reward ratio even further. So that's only about a 4.4x risk to reward. So Atom, not as good as a pick versus Luna, AVAX, or Algorand, but still a better pick than Solana, right? Just purely based on stop loss and take profit levels. Okay, so I think yeah, we have pretty much reviewed like kind of the strategy to identify which coins are good picks in the recent correction and which ones to buy the dip on. So you can go down the list of the top market cap coins and find your favorites based on fundamentals and apply the same kind of analysis. I'm not going to repeat the analysis for more coins. So that's the layer 2 kind of narrative. Sorry, layer 1 narrative. Now, moving on to a couple altcoins that I have talked about and ecosystem that I have talked about that I'm bullish on. So these will be kind of in the mid caps. First off, we have Olympus DAO. This has really just been blowing up recently, and because this is a rebasing coin, we need to look at its market cap in order to figure out an entry point. And sadly, CoinMarketCap doesn't have its market cap chart. So let's look at CoinGecko, Olympus, and market cap. Right. Not much of an entry there also. Yeah, so if you are still holding OHM and you still have it staked, continue to earn those yield. But I think it's the risk to reward there is quite high right now to enter. Wow, CoinGecko is so slow. Let's get, yeah, so there's a bit of consolidation there, right around 750 million as market cap. Let's go to medium risk picks. There we go. Yeah, so 750 million market cap is a bit of an entry opportunity, and then it would be at 500 million in market cap. So kind of difficult to find an entry right now. I would say, yeah, I'm not looking to make an entry into Olympus at these market cap levels. The rally can continue, and if you're still holding, that's fine. Like, you are in profit, so your downside is like much lower. So Definitely keep an eye out because this is a fundamentally very, very strong project, but opportunity hasn't presented itself just yet. So we will continue to revisit this every week until the opportunity comes. And then moving on, we have the AVAX ecosystem coins. So let's go back to CoinMarketCap. So the AVAX ecosystem is the hottest ecosystem right now. Lots of major funds are moving in, and there are a couple DeFi players in the AVAX ecosystem that are starting to see significant user TVL and volume growth, and aside from just speculation. So two picks that I have mentioned multiple weeks. First one is Joe, Trader Joe. This is the leading DEX, decentralized exchange on AVAX. And looking at charts for Joe, I hope there is a chart here. Nope. So let's go on chart X. So if you want to chart any coins on other chains, just based on their DEXs, specifically the AVAX, Phantom, and any other chains that are other EVMs, use this tool called ChartX. This is basically a trading view fork that allows you to chart all kinds of exotic assets. Is this going to show up at all? Come on. Oh, here we go. And let's look at Joel. Yeah, so for our cool. So there's already a very decent entry opportunity right around here. If we thicken that. So this was, again, previous all-time high here, tested as resistance here, tested as resistance here, tested as support here, now tested as support again. So already a very decent entry opportunity. Yeah, $2.50 range. I'm starting to accumulate right here. Yeah, not much to say more than that. Let's just move on to the next pick. What's it? Yak, right? So Yield Yak is the other outlier that I see as a very strong performer in the AVAX ecosystem. Obviously, with this narrative of the AVAX ecosystem incentives going out, these DeFi players being heavily supported by the foundation and large funds, and them seeing user growth, most top DeFi coins in AVAX should outperform. But my favorite picks are Joe and AVAX in this ecosystem. Why? Because in this recent correction that we've seen since kind of August 30th-ish, Joe and AVAX are the two tokens in this ecosystem that did not break down to the previous levels. So you see, Joe here mostly just formed a bit of a bull flag and then started to make higher lows again. Let me just clear all that drawing and thicken this line. Boom. Yeah. See, it really did not make any sort of a bearish pattern here. And in fact, it quickly broke into a new uptrend with higher lows here being printed. Same thing for Yield Yak. The ticker is Yak. Again, since the major run-up and in the correction, it pretty much just formed a bull flag and then started to make uptrend. Then what are the other kind of so-called blue chip plays in the AVAX ecosystem, right? We have Pangolin, PNG is the ticker name. But you see, yeah, this clearly wasn't a very bullish chart. Yes, it saw a very significant, uptrend as the liquidity mining incentive was announced. But then very quickly, like in the correction that follows suit, it pretty much dropped back down to the previous levels. That's not a good sign. That tells you that most people speculated on Pangolin, not because they're using Pangolin, the exchange, but because they are speculating on the AVAX ecosystem. And when the narrative kind of slowed down a little bit, all that gains were given back. So that's a sign of, okay, Pangolin as a DEX is not as promising as Joel as a DEX based on user growth, based on actual adoption. So that's why, when picking the DEX in this ecosystem, I'm choosing Joel instead of Pangolin. And then a couple other picks, right? There's Penguin Finance. Again, this drop much more dramatic than the one on Joel and Yak. And you see, we have pretty much made 3 tests of the support level. Instead of making actual higher lows, we have made kind of flat lows, so not as convincing. It clearly isn't in a new uptrend. Instead, it's at best in a sideways period. So that's for Penguin Finance. And then what are some other plays in this AVAX ecosystem? Let me just show you. So the couple we've mentioned is Pangolin, right? And then PFi or Penguin Finance, right? These are the plays that aren't as promising in the AVAX ecosystem. And let's just go into the AVAX ecosystem tag here. Going down the list, we want the ones, right. Ava Launch is another one. So XAVA is the ticker name. Okay, this one's decent. It has kickstarted a new uptrend, right? Since the breakdown from end of August. Yes, it had a breakdown, but new uptrend has started. So Ava Launch is pretty decent. And then Snowball, right? That's another one. So the ticker is Snob. Yeah, again, this is another typical pattern. People were very excited here because the ecosystem got a lot of hype. They FOMO into Snowball because it's one of the players in the ecosystem, but as the narrative dried up, it quickly corrected to pretty much the same levels before the rally. And then now it's not starting any major uptrend just yet. So yeah, that's kind of my analysis on how to pick winners in an ecosystem if you are bullish on that ecosystem. And so far, the 3 that we have identified is Joel, right? It's Yodiak, and it's Ava Launch, right? So I'm personally buying the dip on the 3 of these. So these are actually AVAX gems, right? What are some others? Right. So how long has it been? Okay. So some low cap gems or high risk picks. There is a trend developing for cross-chain DeFi protocols, specifically protocols that are not picky on only being on the Ethereum chain. Instead, they are adopting new chains very quickly. So one very good team that's behind this is the Abracadabra team or the Spell team. So the token for this, the main token for this is the Spell token. So you can think of Spell as the MakerDAO and DAI, but for a multi-chain, multi-collateral kind of narrative. So we have all used the DAI stablecoin. The DAI stablecoin is backed by a decent basket of collaterals like USDC and ETH on Ethereum only, and they might be moving to layer 2, but they are very picky on who they adopt. So they don't like BSC, they don't like Phantom, they don't like AVAX. So all of these new developments in the ecosystem on other EVM chains, DAI is not taking advantage of it. But the player that is Spell. So Abracadabra is the website name, and Spell, you can think of it as the equivalent of the Maker token. And their stablecoin is called MIM, Magic Internet Money, which is a funny name, but it's kind of the equivalent of DAI, but applicable across many chains and using collaterals such as AVAX, Phantom. On BSC they will use BNB, so they're not picky, and that's why they're seeing much more adoption. So this is one I'm very bullish on, of this multi-chain DeFi narrative. And then a couple more that the team is also building, aside from the Spell and MIM kind of MakerDAO equivalent, is Popsicle Finance. Popsicle Finance, yeah. So this, the ticker for this is ICE. So these guys are doing kind of Uniswap v3 liquidity pool kind of yield aggregator. So that's a lot of words slapped together, but you can think of it as like Yearn Finance, but for multi-chain. So what Yearn Finance is currently doing is they are mostly on the Ethereum chain. They are taking the liquidity pools on Curve, on Balancer. I'm not sure if they support Balancer, but on Curve, on Uniswap, on SushiSwap, etc. And they are applying like complex strategies on top so that when you do it through them, you get even better rewards, right, for farming and for liquidity pool fees. But Yearn Finance is also very much ETH focused and a little bit Phantom. But what Popsicle Finance is doing is they like Ethereum, right? So they support Uniswap v3, but they also support BSC. They also support AVAX and Phantom. So in a multi-chain kind of future, which is currently playing out right now, a yield aggregator across many chains is very much needed. So, and also Popsicle Finance is made by the same team behind Spell or Abracadabra. So you know that they have this design philosophy in mind, that they are not picky on which chain is like philosophically like decentralized, and which chain is supposed to be the decentralized internet. They're not anal like that. Instead, they are very much just, where is their innovation and where is the money at? Whatever it's at, we will adopt. And I think that's a pretty fair way. That's a kind of thinking I can get behind. And it is somewhat like very crypto-like, because instead of saying, okay, what is our definition of decentralization? They are saying, okay, the market decides what's decentralized enough, right? Whichever market can grab market share, as long as that is fair competition, that's where we will move our products. That's what we will support in our products. So that's a pretty good design philosophy that I can get behind also. Yeah, so I'm very bullish on Spell and Popsicle Finance. Aside from that, NFTs are kind of slowing down. There is this one pick called Lost Poets, right? I have talked about this many times. This is the kind of profile picture drop by the number 2 artist in the world, just behind Beeple, Mura Pak. So these pages are so far just look at pics. Yeah, these pages are so far just kind of mint passes. So they are for each page you can mint one profile picture NFT that's released by this artist, and the reveal is likely to be this week. So I suspect at the reveal time there will be tons of hype around this. You'll see this bunch of kind of AI generated poet type of art on Twitter. People will be changing their profile pictures to this. And I can show you some examples of what this looks like. Lost Poets. Yeah, it's kind of like these. So they are like AI generated, right? It's kind of spooky, but it's pretty cool. And there's a lot planned in the roadmap. So apparently there's rarities in these, and they will be tied into some sort of game that Pak is making. All in all, like Pak is a one artist that you don't want to fade. So yeah, I hold actually a lot of these. In fact, you see here I hold 144. Yeah, it's quite a lot. Looking forward to see how these do. So just quick disclaimer, I got in the mint of this, but I talked about the mint, and there were the mint price was 0.32 ETH, and right now it's already trading at double that. So consider risk involved, but I still think there's more upside. That's why I haven't sold any. Yeah, I'm targeting around at least 1 ETH, if not 1.5. I think between 1 and 1.5, I think it's pretty reasonable for a short-term valuation per poet or per page. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So that's one low cap pick that I have. Yeah. I think I've talked enough. Let's just do Q&As now, and so that we don't take too much of everyone's time. It's already been an hour, 15 minutes. Okay, so let's do the Discord, and then we'll do the public stream. So, okay, let me bring the Discord. What do you think of dog NFT chart? Right, okay. So dog NFT chart is honestly quite bad. I can't lie to you. CoinTrader, is it CoinTrader or DEX Tools? I think it's DEX Tools. I still firmly believe that the dog NFT, the coin itself, should be valued at least $1 billion in fully diluted market cap. But it's frankly just not there yet, and I'm still holding. I have about, I think, 12K worth. You can check my wallet. I'm not sure how much it's worth right now. Let's see. Wow, this is so slow. Come on. Okay, so chart wise, not pretty at all. We don't want to break below this previous low here at 0.72 cents. If we do, that's going to be very ugly. I'd imagine if there were any market makers involved, they would try to make kind of a higher low here. So if a higher low gets printed here, that would be pretty promising, in which case this is likely the bottom. But if we get below here, oof, that would be negative price discovery. So that would be not good. Yeah, we are fully diluted market cap currently is 150 million. I think this value should be 1 billion. So that's about a 7x still. Again, that's what I see as a fundamental valuation. That's not saying, okay, this should like teleport up straight to 7x. Price growth takes time, and it takes kind of pump and washing out and speculators, and then like price will start to recover. We'll see. Really need to see this 0.72%, 0.72 cent level hold. If it doesn't, I might take a loss on this, but we'll see. I did already sell most of it at, I think, around a 2x. So lucky for me. Can't really call this a loss because there were a pretty solid, like, a week where people that minted or people that got into the sale, which were like most of our Discord, were at least a 2x. So yeah, I don't know why the price is like this. I mean, there were very big backers around behind this. Like Pleaser DAO have Mechanism Capital, they have like 3AC. Someone from Andreessen Horowitz is behind them. So I don't know. I mean, they must have long-term plans for this. So we shall see. And that's why I'm still holding like 12K worth of DOG tokens. Let's see. But yeah, certainly chart isn't too bullish right now. 0.72 cent is very key to hold. Are we going to see a Tundra come back when the market turns around? Probably not. That is a farm it, not buy it play. So when farms kind of cycle through, when the hype period for those farms die out, you kind of just move on to the next farm. So like Pangolin is mostly speculation. Yeah. Did Bacon talk about KSM? I didn't talk about KSM. Is KSM a good price? Right. I suspect KSM is a good price. Let's see. Yeah, for sure. So we mapped out these levels. I think even from yesterday's call, right? 3 higher lows here. 1, 2, 3. And we are now testing this higher low again. And where our buy zone was between 270 and 340. And we are within that zone now. So yeah, it's a good level. I would set my stop loss below this zone, something like 260, right? And first take profit would be at the previous all-time high. And again, this is like short-term take profit, right? So 60% potential profit, 23% potential loss, 2.6x reward to risk ratio for short-term. But yeah, like it hasn't even entered price discovery above all-time high. So KSM, definitely a good buy right now. Good spot. Good that you brought that up. Okay, let's do Q&A across the YouTube and Twitter comments. Let's see. Any good questions? Let me just bring the mic closer so I don't need to look away. Do you think VeChain will go up this bull run? Yeah, of course. VeChain has been around for like 1.5 cycles. So it's one of those top coins that as long as all season continues and Bitcoin behaves, it will do well. Obviously, I haven't really touched VeChain because I know its fundamentals are behind supply chain management. China's really big in it. But it's just a narrative that's not that exciting to me. I'm more into DeFi stuff, but price-wise and price history-wise and exchange listing-wise, like VeChain is very strong. So yeah, nothing wrong. Nothing against holding VeChain in a alt season, in a bull market. S&P 500 still dropping. Yeah, that's part of the reason why like people are kind of panicking. Stock market and crypto are still very much correlated. Since the stock market is dropping, we should see crypto tanking, and it's not at this time. Seems very weird. No, it's tanking a decent amount. It hasn't crashed too much, which is what we want, right? XRP, please. Yeah, I don't fundamentally like XRP, but you gotta give it to them. Like bull market, we will see XRP's place. Let's see. A Gold and OMG pretty much only things got not wrecked. A Venture Gold, very short-term play. OMG, not sure, to be honest. OMG is a layer 2 scaling that's not so much like optimistic rollup or sidechain. So it's kind of legacy. But recently they had some like big, they were acquired by Genesis Block, I think. And they were, so adoption-wise, they have gone a little bit more forward. But they are not in one of the strong narratives. So OMG, I'm not sure. A Gold is a venture gold. So it's a token behind the Loot project and the Loot ecosystem NFTs. I don't know. Very, very short-term play. So I'm not so sure about A Gold as a pick. S&P dipped the same time that it did last year during this time. That's cool. I didn't know that. Let's see. How high do you think VeChain will go this bull run? I can't tell you. I really don't know. I like to base my if I really need to do price predictions for myself, I go from top down. So starting from Bitcoin, right? What's a price prediction for Bitcoin, right? You can look at stock to flow model and say, okay, between 200 to 300K, or let's say 100 to 300K, average out at 200K. So let's say 200K as price prediction for Bitcoin. Then let's say ETH outperforms that by 2x, right? So that's a 4x for Bitcoin, so 8x for ETH, which is like 20K for ETH, 25K ish for ETH. Yeah, and then no, not even 25K, 3.5, 28K for ETH, right? And then let's say just by nature of the market caps of VeChain is smaller than that of Ethereum. So assuming that they all move together, but in larger drops and larger gains, then let's say VeChain outperforms Ethereum by 1.5x. So that's a 12x for VeChain. So then you can map it to, previous all-time high and see, right? That's, I think, the most realistic way to come up with price predictions. If you're just slapping numbers around for individual altcoins, then yeah, that's not too useful. But yeah, something like a 10 to 12x, I think it's pretty reasonable, assuming Bitcoin can hit 200K, and if ETH can hit 28K to 30K, then VeChain 10 to 12x pretty reasonable. Okay, AVAX, please. Yeah, we already covered AVAX, so thanks for asking. Thanks a lot for your analysis. I agree on buying the dip. Yeah, I think this is the opportunity. Again, just looking at not even like, okay, is it for sure going to bounce from here? No, but the risk reward ratio we have laid out in the earlier parts of this stream, and it's there. So when the trade presents itself, you don't need to worry about, okay, I'm 100% going to be right. You know what the downside is, so you just limit your position size based on what the potential downside is, percentage-wise, and okay, if this trade, let's say, I think on AVAX, it was like 30% stop loss, right? So let's say you have a 30% stop loss, 200% take profit, right? So 6-to-1 risk to reward ratio, 6.5. Then assuming that you stand to potentially lose 30% and you only want to risk $100, then you just put maximum $300 in. So your downside is $100, right? Or if you want to risk maximum 1K, then you put 3K in. Or If you want to risk 3K max, then you put 10K in, right? So it's very intuitive once you have the numbers, once you have the setup. What do you think of Engine? Engine's great. Again, one of those top coins that fundamentally is strong, and in the alt season, in the current time, I don't want to specifically look at itself, but yeah, like fundamentally strong. It will perform in an alt season. So yeah, nothing against holding Engine. Please don't spam though. Bitcoin Diamond's trash. This is no good. Don't hold it. EOS is pretty iffy. EOS is very legacy and it hasn't really performed for a long time. So kind of iffy. Talcoin, pretty decent. Give example of a coin that has better upside than Sol, please. I just gave like 4, I think. Algo, AVAX, Cosmos, Luna, right? Just based on pure risk to reward, right? Not saying that they will flip Solana, right? That's not the case. But because you have a lower risk and like larger percentage-wise reward, that's the larger upside, right? And also because they are all in the same narrative of other EVM compatible layer 1 blockchains. Supporting from Malaysia. Hey, nice to meet you, man. Thanks. Algo and yeah, we just talked about it. Good pick. HBAR, good fundamentally, but I haven't looked at its chart for a while, so I don't know if it's much higher than all-time high already. People are going to DigiByte. DigiByte is very legacy, so I wouldn't recommend DigiByte. Clover, decent. It is a new coin that's in this cycle, so I don't know if it is much higher than the previous all-time high already. Joe is good, but I don't think it's leading. It's not the main one. Pangolin is. No, you're wrong, man. Look at the user. It's not the TVL comparison. You need growth for a DEX, right? So yes, Pangolin was majority of the liquidity and TVL like 1 to 2 months back, but now Joe used to be like 1/5 of that, but now it's above Pangolin in TVL and volume. So, or at least very similar. So for you to invest in a coin, you need to see user TVL and volume growth. If it's stagnating while the ecosystem is growing, it means it's losing market share. So that's why, yeah, Joe is the pick over Pangolin. Is Glitch a new blockchain worth exploring? I've heard some people talk about Glitch. I don't know, to be honest. Phantom, also good. Another example of EVM layer 1s in the same narrative that is a good pick. I do think Phantom is a bit above all-time high already, so we can take a quick look. Let's see. Phantom USD. Yeah, okay. So this is like a similar chart as Luna. It's not as pumped as Solana, so still pretty decent. Still a better pick than Solana, but not as good as something like AVAX or AGold or Algo. So yeah, but still, Phantom, good chain. They have their ecosystem incentive in play. Their ecosystem coins are also good picks right now. Very similar in incentive and narrative as AVAX plays. Stock to flow has us closing at 43K. Even when we were at over 50K, I was always looking at the stock to flow. Okay, that's good. So we are kind of ahead of schedule. Ava launch needed for their launches too, I think. Yeah, 100%. Ecosystem do need a dominant launch pad. So Ava launch is pretty decent. Yes, wanted to hear about Spell. Okay, just to buy the Spell USD, or do you do something with MIM? No, not really. Spell is the main token there. What are your thoughts on vector space VXV? I have never looked into it. I know people on TikTok like to talk about it, but I don't even know what it does. So, what's your outlook on Polkadot and its ecosystem? So right now it's Kusama season. So because Kusama crowd loans and parachain auctions are live, but I don't have any Chain-X. I know it's in that ecosystem. Polkadot auctions will start sooner than later. By which point the DOT token will see similar types of price growth as Kusama or KSM. Aside from that, I don't know what to say. The main place in that ecosystem right now is in KSM, not in DOT. Did you buy all the Amy Cat? No, I didn't, because the whitelist IDO was already closed when I discovered it. What do you think about Polkadex? Pretty good project. I've covered it before. It's one of the leading dexes in Polkadot/Kusama. What would problems with Sol and Arbitrum affect future price? Your views? Not much. I mean, fundamentals are just for research purposes. They don't really. I think the main things for Sol and Arbitrum, I don't even think they fit into the same narrative, but adoption, right? Which projects are moving on to those ecosystems? Specifically for Arbitrum, if Uni moves majority of its trading to Arbitrum, that would be super bullish, right? Things like that, right? The tech is there, but events, you don't always want to rely on the events. Got updates on Lost Poets? Yeah, I gave an update at the very end. Stellar, not so sure. Very similar to XRP kind of narrative, like banking coins, cross-border payment coins. If you like that narrative, like they will have their day, and in a bull run, they will do decently well, but it's not a niche that I'm interested in. Icon, ICX, another legacy chain, kind of like EOS. I don't know what they're building right now, so I can't comment too intelligently. So, yeah. Are you going to sell the bottom again? Yes, absolutely. I'm waiting till actually 28.8K to dump everything, and then I will buy back at 50K. That's my plan. Yeah, I mean, these questions are just kind of like, I don't know if you even watch my videos, but I've made like 30 other videos covering all my trades since 30K. Like, I always have a stop loss. I don't understand how you guys can talk like this. It's just, it's not like it's not out there. Everything's public. So I don't understand. Just scroll back a little bit. Thanks for taking your time to help and educate people. Thanks for being here. Alchemix, I do have some. It is one of those innovative DeFi plays. Self-paying loans. Yeah. ICP, I wouldn't touch. Team fiasco is still too strong. What do you think about Engine? Engine's good. I just talked about it. Doge 1. What the hell is that? Arbitrum plays no liquidity from Amy and GMX. This is not the case. Okay, so Arbitrum is so new that Amy is not the case. Amy isn't live yet, but GMX, there's actually a ton of liquidity on Uni V3, but because it's so new, it's like it's not even so public yet. Like, it's, most people don't know where to find it. So yeah, it's actually on Uni V3, not just SushiSwap. Good to accumulate DOT during the step since the parachain auction is coming. Yeah, good plan. Can we get the link for your coin stats? I don't track everything in coin stats anymore. It's all over the place. So no. SLP, I managed to break even on my axes. I'm not following closely enough, so I don't know. ZCX is Zcash, right? Pretty legacy, and we haven't seen Monero and Zcash really take off in this cycle, so probably not. There are better plays. Okay, looking at the events chat for last bit. Any thoughts on the recent Parify IDO? Oh, okay, so Parify IDO was one of the largest IDOs on Solana. They tried to do what Mango Markets did for a fair launch, but they did have a private sale, which was like very much, it was like 1/30th of the price of the public IDO actually. So no, probably not bullish on that. What's your stance on everyone saying BTCD is worthless to look at? I don't know, man. Some of my best signals have been off of BTCD personally. I think it's more of a take on the dilution of BTC market share with time, like why chase a 3x when you get 30x? Yeah. So I think it's BTCD is still useful to identify when out season is there, and there are maybe perhaps 3-4 shifts in a year where it's all season to not all season and all season back beginning. But when it comes to where the majority of gains are, it is in altcoins right now. It's not in like, okay, I gotta chase the alpha in Bitcoin and then like move into altcoins later. That flow is very much non-existent now. So when market picks up, pretty much altcoin and Bitcoin just pumps together, and altcoin pumps a little bit faster. The time delay is very small. So that's the main thing that people are saying on Twitter, which is like, it's good to watch Bitcoin dominance for when alt season starts, but usually when alt season finishes, you kind of just want to move right back into fiat instead of Bitcoin, because that's what most people are doing. So yeah, that time delay is not as it's very short nowadays. If you get what I mean, like this is very nuanced, but it used to be last cycle that sometimes Bitcoin itself pumps and then rest of the altcoins dump. But in this cycle, that has pretty much never happened. So that's why, Bitcoin dominance is still important to look at, but most of the time you want a position in both Bitcoin and altcoins instead of trying to chase Bitcoin first and then altcoin later, because usually they just move together. Yeah. Okay. Engine, not engine, ING injective, good coin. I don't know what DAG is. HBAR is good. What do you think about possible Arbitrum airdrops? I use some dApps in case bridged. Also, Uniswap plan to do early airdrops, so not wrong. I don't know. I think there could be some like other projects that airdrop their coins based on who bridged early, but I don't know if there will be anything official from Arbitrum team. Wu is good. Wu is a good coin. Yeah. I actually covered it way back last year when it was doing, was it Pogo Starter? It was either Pogo Starter or Launch Pool, Binance Launch Pool. I forgot which one. Terra Luna, we already covered. Just go back to the earlier of the stream. We even gave entry points for it. Okay, I think that's it for today. We covered pretty much all the questions in Discord and all of the comments on the live stream. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Discord side, appreciate it, and YouTube side also appreciate it. I will try to have all of the questions and segments timestamped in this live stream replay. Yeah. I'm actually starting. I'm trying to do more daily live streams. Obviously, today's an hour 30 minutes, hour 40. That's too long. So I'll try to go live again tomorrow to give just a brief market update and I'll come up with a more set schedule, maybe like 20 minutes of market update, 20 minutes of altcoin picks, and then 20 minutes of top questions, and then that's it. So that we can do this consistently, trying to do this daily. So stay tuned again tomorrow at 7 p.m. UTC, which is noon PST. That's it. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.